Welcome everybody to another edition of MLW 2005 as we're continuing this Ruthless Aggression save live as we continue the road to Hybrid Hell, as we got one more day before Hybrid Hell, then the big show, and then most likely the aftermath. Also, tonight will be a special 2-video week for MLW, as this has taken the spot that usually reserved for one of my WCW videos, since, I'm putting the whole week build for Starrcade. So, you'll have this, and then hopefully the regular MLW video on Thursday. Regardless, let's get to the show as we start off with the whole Extreme Horsemen of J.J. Dillon, Simon Diamond, Steve Corino, and Andrew Martin backstage. Basically putting over the fact, at Hybrid Hell, Andrew Martin will pass his test, and Loki will be an MLW champion after that. Corino still with his, leg brace on says, there'll just be more proof that Loki, when he had in the first place, was a fluke and a vast insult and a vast injustice that was put against the Extreme Horsemen, but that'll be set right at Hybrid Hell. And Simon Dunn says, Simon says, yes, not only will Andrew Martin win the MLW title at Hybrid Hell, but I will send Nigel McGuinness, that little twerp, back to England where he belongs, and the Extreme Horsemen will reign supreme. Solid promo, get everything over, and officially announce that the Nigel Simon Diamond match is set for Hybrid Hell. So this is 65, good promo, and then we move forward to our opening match. We're in a decent match, the Hart Foundation 2K3 of Teddy Hart and Jack Evans defeat the Vane of Pitbulls in 9:19 when Jack Evans pins Rocky Romero with a heart attack. This gets a 48, Teddy Hart gets a 30, Jack Evans gets a 50, Ricky Reyes gets a 49, Rocky Romero gets a 33. Good stuff, just, solid back and forth, high flying, steal the show match. And Hart Foundation go over because, honestly, I don't really have much for the Vane of Pitbulls to do right now, and I really want to kind of push the Hart Foundation. But yeah, there we go. And then post-match, of course, Hart Foundation and Eddie celebrate to a 29. Then we go backstage where the entirety of Dixies and Dynamites are there, and Nicky Rock's, sitting on Vedder's lap, Ray Gordy with his guitar, and Reeves standing at the door of the backstage area. And basically, Gordy says, it's he heard the bad news that Jerry Lynn is currently injured, so obviously he can't answer their challenge anymore. But he knows Lynn has another extreme old hat friend who thinks it's still 1998 and Sabu, so they'll even make it fair. They don't expect Sabu to find a friend, because come on. Who's going to team with that crazy son of a bitch? But they're happy to have either Sabu come to Hybrid Hell, and he'll just have to face one of Dixies and Dynamites, and prove once again that he deserves to go and be shot in the back like old, can't talk today. He deserves to be treated just like Jerry Lynch, taken to the backyard and shot like Old Yeller, because the past is past, the future is now. And good stuff, 41, and we move forward. Where basically we have a Matt Sydal and promo with Val, basically on his arm, being all sexy and evil and stuff. And he basically puts the fact he's he's the junior heavyweight champion. And, Sonjay Dutt calls himself a MLW player. Well, I'm the real player here in Major League Wrestling. And after Hybrid Hell, not only will I walk out still the champion, I'll prove I'm the best junior heavyweight wrestler in the world. And I'll walk out with this beautiful woman while you're on your back, unable to even talk to a woman. 47, not the worst promo, not the best promo either. And then we have a special appearance by Ron Killings as he shows up, defeats Matt Martell in 5:47 with Truth or Consequences. This gets a 62. Killings gets a 67. Matt Martell gets a 25. Basically an extended squash for, Killings. He gets a big pop coming out, Martell gets a little bit of a comeback, but Killings basically squashes him. But, here's the big thing, as, he's celebrating. Bryan Danielson's music hits, and basically, he says, it's pathetic that, the MLW is allowing this ingrate to show up on their TV show when they really have the best wrestler in the world, and instead they decided to show, some rapping fool who, just because he's on pay-per-view every week, that thinks he's something special. Killing fires back that the truth is, what have you actually done, Danielson? The truth is, I've been an NWA World Champion. I've been an NWA World Tag Team Champion. You think winning some matches on the Indies or going over to Japan every couple weeks makes you special? No, if you want to be the best in the world, you have to fight the best in the world, including former world champions. And this is like, oh, is that a challenge? You want me to prove I'm the best in the world by tapping you out? I realize I'm not fighting in backstage over some broken up WWF World Title that calls itself a hardcore title now, or I'm not fighting Sting for the 95th time. Ooh, pop, evil, smart pop. But, I actually wrestle, something you're not used to. And Killing's like, oh, I'll show you. You're right, I'm not the best wrestler on the planet. What I can do is fight. And through the brawl before MLW officials get involved, and it looks like we have a big match for Hybrid Hell. As it's going to be Ron Killings versus The Truth at Hybrid Hell. Yes, I figured out another way to avoid giving Danielson a title shot yet. And 70, really good promo. And then we have Junior Fat 2 basically saying, he's going to refuse to bow down to ECMO because he didn't, he still needs help to actually defeat him. And that causes ECMO to come out and say, see, this is what I mean by the lack of respect. I beat you, and you refuse to follow the rules of our elders just because you think I'm doing it outside of the rules. Bow down. Because he says, refuses again, and out comes a fight, and they just begin brawling again, and this gets a 62. So just continues that feud. And then in our main event, about that great heat and good wrestling, Amazing Red and Nigel McGuinness draw with Homicide and Simon Diamond, 7:22 following a double countout. So announcers put over that the Amazing Red and Homicide are also set for Hybrid Hell, and these two just continue to the brawl. This gets a 60, Nigel gets a 59, Red gets a 59, Simon Diamond gets a 57, Homicide gets a 49. Unfortunately, Amazing Red and Nigel don't work well as a team, but Homicide and Simon Diamond do, which is interesting. Regardless, so you can just, this is, set up for big, the big show as they just continue to fight, and then they continue to fight afterwards to a 54. So overall, the show itself gets a 58. Good stuff. And yeah, so just, good, solid show. We got our go-home show next week to really build up to Hybrid Hell, then Hybrid itself. So we'll be back in just a moment with that. All right, now it's time for the go-home show for MLW Hybrid Hell. So we start off with a match, surprisingly, a good match. Actually, a really good match, especially for us. Sonjay Dutt defeats Lightbringer in 9:55 by pinfall with Sonjay Star Press. This gets a 60. Dutt gets a 58. Lightbringer gets a 47. Yeah, a surprisingly good match. And then Dutt cuts a promo saying, basically, yeah, you may have Val on your arm right now, but we already saw her walk away from her man once for you, so how can you really trust her in the long run? But yes, but that doesn't really matter, because we're not fighting over Val, after all. Just give her a little time, maybe she might come around to me. Pop for implying a heel female manager is a slut, because again, it's 2005. But regardless, Dutt continues, but what I'm talking about right now is the MLW Junior Heavyweight Title, and that's what the thing at Hybrid Hell I'm going to walk out with. 43, perfectly solid promo as he build up to that match. Then we have a Loki promo, which gets a 60, and he basically says, yeah, he's not scared of Andrew Martin, he's not scared of any wrestler because he's a warrior. But he's a warrior, or whatever Loki's deep voice thing is. And yes, Andrew Martin's bigger than him, he has some backup, but he has the backing of the fans, and he has the warrior spirit, so he will prove successful. 60, perfectly solid promo. Then we had a featured attraction, which is again Michael Shane and Jerelle Clark defeat Bobby Quance and Puma in 8:24. Michael Shane pinned Puma with a Sweet Shane music, which I guess is super kick. This gets a 50, Shane gets a 56, Jerelle Clark gets a 48, Bobby Quance gets a 35, Puma gets a 36. Perfectly decent back and forth match, but basically a quasi squash. Quance and Puma get some high flying hotness to start out with, but be featured attraction heal up and get the big win as their number one contenders. And they cut out their promo saying, at Hybrid Hell, there's going to be lots of matches, but the featured attractions are going to be us taking the tag titles off of Hero and Strong, who have lucked into those titles, but they've never faced a real tag team. And they're going to prove what happens when an actual tag team of experience and action gets in that ring and takes those belts off of you. Hero and Strong come out, we have a stare down, and there we go, 44. Not the worst, not the best, but none of these guys are the best promo guys yet, but, got to build it up somehow. Then, in a good match, Delirious somewhat gets an upset defeating Averno in 9:56 by pinfall the Panic Attack. Really good match, 63, as they just, fight. And, Delirious eventually is being able to, slip out and hit his finisher and get the huge pinfall victory over Averno, as this gets a 63. Averno gets 63 himself, Delirious gets a 47. Basically put this over because, honestly, Delirious is around, Averno isn't every week, so there you go. And then Delirious and Daisy celebrate, which gets a 44. And then we move forward. We're in a superb match in our main event, basically directly off of last week. ECMO defeats Junior Fat 2 in a last man standing match at 9:17 when Junior Fat 2 could not beat a 10 count. So, 66, just an insane, full tilt all the way, brawl all over. But ECMO was able to get just hit just enough to keep Junior Fat 2 down. This gets a 66, Fat 2 gets a 53, ECMO gets a 65. But, Fat 2 eventually gets up, and Fat 2 eventually gets ECMO and sends him through a table at the ringside area, knocking him out again. And this gets a 63, and we finish things out with another 58 to really build things forward. So again, even though you guys will see that in just a second here, we'll go over the final show of Hybrid Hell, and then we'll move forward to that for the next thing. As we move forward, yes, okay. Dixie is charismatic, yes he is, and Sanji is fully fit rather. So yeah, I'll be back in just a second with the again, let's go over that lineup. We've got Andrew Martin versus Loki for the MLW title, Huron Strong versus Feature Attractor for the tag titles, Matt Sydal versus Sonjay Dutt for the Junior Heavyweight title, Nigel versus Simon Diamond, Ron Killing versus Bryan Danielson, The Amazing Red versus Homicide. We've got Sabu versus one of the members of Dixie Dynamite, and of course other bonus matches that'll show up on the show that night. But I'll be back in just a second with that show. Alright, it's now time for MLW Hybrid Hell, live from Jacksonville, Florida, where we've got a little over 3,000 people paid, as it's time for big show this summer. And we start with Kevin Kelly and Steve Corino, still in his leg brace, opening the show, putting over the big matches, including Corino promising that one or the other, the Extreme Horsemen will stand tall at the end of Hybrid Hell. This gets a 58. Then we move forward to our opening match, which is in a big three-way match, in a good match, Averno defeats Delirious and Jason Cross in 14:31, when, I can still roll this one. Averno pins Jason Cross with the double wings. This should have been Delirious, but I forgot to change the booking. So let's just pretend Delirious. I'll fix it in the future. So this gets Averno gets a 64, Delirious gets a 52, Cross gets a 55. All this gets a 62. And just Jason Ayers, our pay-per-view, our big show ref. So yeah, pretend this is somebody else. It's a 46. Let's just ignore that and move on. Anyway, that's unfortunate. Anyway, then we have our 4-way tag match as in a bout that interact from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. It's the Stampede Bulldogs of Harry Smith and Harry Smith and TJ Wilson defeat the Van Pitbulls, the SAT, and Joker and Lightbringer in 13:27 when Harry Smith pins Jose Maximo with a springboard heart attack. This gets a 45, Lightbringer gets a 44, Joker gets a 21, Ricky Reyes gets a 42, Rocky Romero gets a 37, Joel gets a 47, Jose gets a 48, TJ Wilson gets a 41, Harry Smith gets a 33. Solid, tag matches to get, our undercard tag guys on the show and give members of the Heart Foundation another big win, this time on Hybrid Hell. And yeah, big win for Stampede Bulldogs as they celebrate afterwards to a 39. And yeah, sort of, again, both for Lightbringer and Joker and Rocky Romero and Ricky Reyes, for those guys, because we sort of have a new top heel team. I don't have much to do for them at the moment, so they just sort of have to get stuck in this quasi jobbing spot for the moment, which is unfortunate for them. But hey, what can you do? Same with the SAT. With Hero and Strong around, I just have less room for those guys as far as and honestly just for the whole thing with the new guys and the rest of the junior heavyweights and other people being around. It's just a matter of time. Only got an hour per week on TV, and then the big show. So what can you do? And then we have our promo. Oh, and also, yeah, Dixie and Dynamite being around also lessen the room for the other mid-card heel teams. Dixie and Dynamite come out to face Sabu. So, Sabu's in the ring. But out of nowhere, Reeves comes in, flips him from behind, and attacks Sabu and beats him down. Just earlier, leaves him laying. And then Vetter runs in to actually start the match. So this gets a 46. And then, of course, because Sabu has been beaten down, Vetter is able to defeat Sabu in probably the biggest one so far in his MLW career, defeating him in 7:46 with Whip Flash. This gets a 50. Sabu gets a 46. Vetter gets a 49. And then post-match, there's another beatdown of Sabu to a 41. So just a really big thing to put our friends at Dixie's and Dynamites over. Just really gets them over as sort of a good, strong mid-card heel group. Plus, honestly, at this point, I hate to say it, but Sabu's basically a jobber to the stars. Especially because there's nothing to do with him with Lynn at the moment. And then in sort of our first real big match of the night, in a superb match, Nigel McGuinness defeats Simon Diamond in 15:10 by pinfall. This gets a 62. Good back and forth match, high work rate match, just everybody beating the down, Dan being his healing bastard self, but Nigel fighting about with lariats and his technical wrestling, and in the end he's able to the big lariat, that big round lariat of his, to get the pinfall victory. Like I said, this gets a 62, Nigel gets a 65, and Simon Diamond gets a 58. Then post-match, Nigel celebrates to a 69. Nice. Then we have our big match, another big match, as in a good match. Amazing Red defeats Homicide in 13:18 by pinfall the Red Star Press. So this gets a 64. So again, back and forth match, Homicide brawling, Amazing Red with his high flying, Homicide, pulling using a chair, Red flying off that chair. In the end, basically Red is able to hit his version of the Canadian Destroyer, then hit the Red Star Press, and you Red Alert and all the other big moves of his, and get the pinfall victory barely to a 64. Red gets a 62, Homicide gets a 48. And then post-match, Amazing Red is celebrating when Homicide attacks him and leaves him laying once again, as this fight has to continue, as this gets a 46. Then we have in our tag team title match, in a bout that good heat and decent wrestling, Hero and Strong draw with feature attraction in 14:32, following a double countout. So basically, match spills outside, and just, the brawl continues, and there's no winner, and this tag team feud must also continue. As this gets a 58, Roger Strong gets a 55, Strong gets a 44, Clark gets a 48, and Shane gets a 55. And like I said, them just continuing to fight gets a 46. Then in our match from third from the top, in a superb match, Matt Sydal defeats Sonjay Dutt in 16:27, following interference from Val. So Val gets involved. I'm going to say probably throw something in Dutt's eyes, or basically low blows him. That gives Sydal just enough time to hit the huge Dragon Rana on Dutt, get the pinfall victory, and makes defense number 2 of his World Junior Heavyweight Title. This gets a 66. Sydal gets a 60. Dutt gets a 60. Then post-match, Sydal and Val celebrate to a 31. Good stuff. Then in our semi-main event, Bryan Danielson continues to prove he's the best in the world, as he makes Ron Killings tap out in 1946 by submission with the cattle mutilation. This gets a 65. Killings gets a 66. Danielson gets a 68. Just, straight ahead win for Danielson. Killing, doesn't, is able to take the fight and even hits the big moves, but Danielson just that much better and just cleanly grabs him in the cattle mutilation, and there's nowhere for Killings to go, as this gets a 65. And then Danielson celebrates to a 65, and now it's main event time for the MLW Championship. In a good, exceptional match, but gets a 70, which I think is our best match best rating ever. Loki defeats Andrew Martin 13:57 by pinfall the Warriors Way. Loki makes defense number 6 of his world title. This gets a 70, like I said. Loki gets a 70. Martin gets a 70. Martin and Loki have great chemistry, which is good. And then what happens? So Loki wins the match, gets his world title, and basically heads to the backstage area. Martin slowly gets up. Diamond comes down. Carino says it's time to get some horseman business done. He slides in the ring, and then he takes off his leg brace, wallops Martin with it, and then boom, spike pile driver on Martin. Carino is back. He's healthy, and Andrew Martin looks like he's now out of the Extreme Horsemen for failing to win the world title. This gets a 66, and also Andrew Martin signed a WWE contract, so this was basically going away. This gets a 63, so let's give Loki for a great performance, Bryan Danielson for a great performance, and honestly, Nigel McGuinness on a great performance. And we'll see if there's any news after this. Survey says. See what Noah did. Okay, Akiyama versus Misawa. Yeah, that's a good match. Killings is gone from MLW. Hybrid Hell got 29,000 people. And yeah, that's about it. Let's see here if there's anything of notice. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll do the basically the post-show setup for the next series of shows, as our next show is Summer Apocalypse in a little over a month here. I might adjust the date slightly depending on how many shows I want to book. But yeah, after that, it's that'll be that for this video. So I'll be back in just a moment with that. And now it's for the last thing we're going to do tonight, or at least in this taping. Well, on this video, I don't know how you want it. Anyway, the last thing we're going to do tonight is basically the aftermath show of MLW Underground, as we're in Melbourne, Florida, in front of 800 people, and we start out with the basically backstage promo, where Carino and Diamond, along with Jerelle, put over the fact that the real Extreme Horsemen are back, and that if you see, quote unquote, a man who can't pass a test on another show on Monday night, that just shows that he couldn't cut it here in the Major League of Professional Wrestling. C. Carino then basically says, it's been a long damn time since a confluence of events led me to no longer be able to take my MLW title around my waist. First, I got screwed over at King of Kings. Then, when I was going to get my rematch, I got injured in a match with a freaking disco duck. And now, after long months of having to sit beside that weasel Kevin Kelly, I have already talked to MLW officials, and at Summer Apocalypse, I will get the rematch I never received, and I will become MLW World Champion once again. 65, good promo, there we go. Sort of puts over the fact that, basically the main event is Carino Loki, set up, Carino's rematch that he never got, and there we go, and that Carino's back. Then in a decent match, veteran Rick Gordy defeated M-Dog and M-Dog 20 and Michael Modest in 7:04 when Gordy pinned M-Dog 20 with the Country Thunder. This gets a 49. Gordy gets a 50. Veteran gets a 49. Modest gets a 46. M-Dog 20 gets a 31. 49, good stuff. Just puts a, quick quasi-squash win for veteran Rick Gordy. And then we have an in-ring angle where basically, veteran Rick Gordy put over the fact that, they basically took out Sabu once and for all last night, just like Jerry Lynn is out on the injured list. Sabu is just another relic of a past time that's been taken apart by the tag team of the future, because we just aren't just breaking records on the charts, we're breaking records here in professional wrestling, as we're going to rise up the tag team ranks one way or the other, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. 43, solid stuff. Then of course we have Matt Sydal and Sonjay Dutt highlights from the Hybrid Hell by the DVD. That gets a 48. Then we have a feature attraction promo where they basically say that, they deserve another shot at the tag titles, that, if they've been able to get back in the ring, instead of having to chase after Hero and Strong who are running away, they're heels, so they're lying, of course. They would have easily defeated them and proved that they should be the featured attraction here in Major League Wrestling. But again, they'll just have to get that rematch and take that tag gold off of them. 47, again, perfectly solid promo. And then we move forward to an about that good heat in decent wrestling. Jason Cross defeated Lightbringer 12-36 by pinfall the Crossfire. This gets a 55. Cross gets a 53. Lightbringer gets a 46. Perfectly solid match. Just, back and forth match. But Cross gets the big win and the big pinfall win, and it, gets sort of a measure of getting back on the forward path after having a rough couple months here. And then Cross celebrating afterwards gets a 36. Then we have Danielson Killings highlights, which gets a 65. Again, buy the DVD. Please, buy the DVD. And then we move forward, where it's Carino and Diamond defeating the SAT in 10:02 when Carino pinned Maximo with a super kick. This gets a 57. Just like a quick, SAT get a bit of a comeback, but in the end, it's Carino and Diamond looking like $1 million and our top heel group, as Diamond gets a 58, Carino gets a 61, Maximus gets a 43 and a 46 respectively. But of course, it gets a 57 overall. And the post-match is Carino and Diamond just doing a complete beatdown on the SATs until Loki comes out and just comes out and dives at them with kicks, and basically runs them off, basically because JJ is telling them, come back and fight another day, as Loki holds his title up and, basically yells that, Carino will never take it from him. Overall, the show gets a 55. Good stuff. So what we're going to do real quick to finish things off for this video is go through the end of the month. Go through the end of the month, and then we'll go over, see if there's any specific popularity changes in the past month or so, and then that'll be it for the video. So, of course, we'll also see if there's any interesting email here. So that's going to take a second first. So survey says, okay. Let's see. Nope, nothing that much interest. I mean, Regal and Flair versus RVD Burger KT on 99. Jesus, the AI is really good. And we'll be back in just a second with the end of the month stuff. Okay, quick thing just to go over everybody's popularity changes. First, good news is we were first in the Southeast Regional Battle, so that's always a positive. But let's go over the roster real quick just to see how everybody is doing. So, first, Martin is officially on the roster for another 4 days, but obviously I'm not going to put him on TV when there's nothing much for him to do. But again, popularity wise, he dropped sort of big time for dropping the Loki, but that was sort of the point, so not to complain too much about that. Danielson is continuing to get more and more over. He's up 4 points in Tri-State, up a couple points everywhere else, up 2 points in Midwest, so can't complain too much about that. ECMO, who, unfortunately is wrestling in All Japan, so I can't really use him that much, is up a point or two. Loki, our champion, is basically he gained 5 points in the tri-state, so that was a positive, and he gained a point in New England. Not that much in the Southeast though. So take what you can get though. Neigel, let's see here. Neigel gained a couple points basically everywhere thanks to his win over Simon Diamond, so that's a positive. And Simon Diamond, let's see if he lost a whole bunch. And no, he basically stayed even, so not the end of the world there. And if we go down to stars, so we've got Averno. Averno is about even, which makes sense. He gained a point in the Southeast though, so that's good. Let's look at Crease Hero. So Hero's up basically a point in a couple places, but his overness is still weird because of lacking New England and Northwest. Delirious, let's see how you're doing, buddy. Delirious is about, okay, he's up 5 points in the Southeast, up 5 points in the Tri-State, and up a point everywhere else. So good stuff. Homicide, let's see, how bad did jobbing to Amazing Red hurt you? Okay, he actually didn't get hurt that much. Held steady. Junior Fatu is about even, because again, I'm not using him that much. Lightbringer is, let's see here, about even still. Matt Sydal, let's see how you're doing. Sydal is up a point or even, so that's good things. Michael Shane, let's see here. Michael Shane is up 2 points Southeast, up a point in the Tri-State, so can't complain too much about that. Sonjay Dutt, let's see here. Did he get too much hurt by jobbing? Nope. Okay, up a point because it was a really good match. Steve Carino, let's see here. How have you been hurt by the... So, yeah, Carino's basically held steady or gained a point since his injury, which, not the end of the world. Helpful, of course, if he could actually wrestle. And then we got Amazing Red, so up a point. Yeah, okay, that's an old injury. Wait, when did he get injured? That's from last year. And if we go down to well known, let's see, Jason Cross, who's been sort of stuck in the middle for a bit here. He's slowly been getting points still. Jerelle, of course, got injured, but before that, he's slowly been losing popularity. Ray Gordy, let's see here. How is he doing? Gordy's, okay, so Gordy's even in Southeast, about even everywhere. Okay, which makes sense. Roderick Strong, again. About even, gained a point in the Southwest, even in the Southeast, up a point in the Tri-State. So again, slowly but surely getting more over though. And Vetter, last but not least, with the really weird combination of overness. Up a point in a couple places, even Southeast and Tri-State, but yeah, what can you do? And let's see if there's anybody of interest if we go further down. Let's see, recognizable. Let's see, not really care about these guys. Nikki Rock, let's see how her popularity is gaining. So, okay, so she's up to 35 in the Tri-State, up to 15 in the Southeast, so that's not too bad. And then I think the only other person I really care about is our boy Reeves. To see how doing him a couple matches, because he's been doing basically dark matches. So yeah, he's up to 21 in the Southeast, up to 15 in the Tri-State. So yeah, good stuff. But yeah, that's it for now. So you've enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like, comment below what you're enjoying and not enjoying, and subscribe to your channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this series, my WCW 2001 series, now heading towards Starrcade 2003, WCW 1993, also heading towards Starrcade, and hopefully Cornell vs. Weekends once I get that back in gear. But that's it for now. So talk to you later, and have a good one. Adios.